Hey everyone, Kyle once again, and welcome back to another movie review. And first off, if you're probably going to see, I changed my posters and I switched it out for my Godzilla 1998 poster, which I put it back on my back wall. I switched out for my new How to Train Your Dragon 2 poster. So just because it shows my favorite film of 2014. It shows I really did love that movie. So. But I put my Godzilla poster back where it was originally was, back there, But How to Train Your Dragon 2, that's gonna be up there. And for those who are saying like, it just says Dragons 2, and some down here, it's in a different language. I don't know why, why I ordered it, But no, that's not gonna bother me though. So, but anyway, yeah. Getting to my next movie review. Sorry. This is another film that I liked watching. Also with me and my brother. Recently I've been kind of reviewing a couple of films that me and my brother grew up watching. But this is another film that I really did like. And this is reviewing Dennis the Menace, a family film that I really did enjoy growing up. And me and my brother got a lot of laughs growing up at this one. Definitely got some laughs, a lot of laughs. Definitely got a lot of laughs on this. And Dennis the Menace was released in the summer of 1993, and it's directed by Michael Myers. If you forget that was a pun, because Michael Myers, from Halloween, from John Carpenter's Halloween. The reason why I say it is because it's directed by Nick Castle, because Nick Castle, he played Michael Myers in John Carpenter's original Halloween, That's why I did that little pun there, which probably will think that was not that funny because I'm very terrible at doing jokes, I can see myself that I failed on that, though. But, yeah, everyone gets the pun, yeah. But, yeah, but that's me. I tried to do a pun. I think I failed on that, though, but, yeah. Yeah, but it's like Nick Castle, he played Michael Myers in John Carpenter's Halloween, and he directed Dennis the Menace, That's why I said that Michael Myers directed Dennis the Menace, But and it's also produced by John Hughes. May he rest in peace, If you can look it up, he's a talented writer and director, I've probably said in other videos, director of Home Alone 1 and 2, Breakfast Club, writer on a lot of films, Pretty in Pink, etc., But, and it's also, of course, Dennis the Menace is also based on a comic strip as well. Yeah, by Hank Ketcham. Yeah, but yeah, but I never read the comic strips, So to be perfectly honest, and there was also a TV show as well. I think what came out like in the 60s, I think, 50s or maybe late 50s and early 60s. Yeah, it was 1959 and it ended in, I think it was 1963, I think, But I never watched that show either, though. But this is a film I always grew up watching with, Me and my brother always had a lot of laughs in this film, And when the film came out, it was a box office success, On a budget of $35 million, and we made $117 million worldwide. So it was a box office success, And even despite that, of course, it got negative reviews. It has a 23% Rotten Tomatoes, has a 5.4 on IMDb, and but I can see why though. But for me, I can disagree on that though, because I really still like the film as well, And even negative reviews. Mason Gamble, who plays Dennis here, he received a Razzie nomination for Worst New Star, But also he won Best Youth Actor in the leading role in a motion picture comedy, for the Youth in the Film Awards. So yeah, He won that award, but he also received a Razzie nomination for Worst New Star. Probably the reason why they nominated him, because how sometimes he says, "Hey, Mr. Wilson," And other actors, you got as far as Walter, which was a highlight for me. Walter Matthau, another actor who may rest in peace as well, as Mr. Wilson. Joan Plowright, who plays Mrs. Wilson. I've said before in a couple of reviews, especially when I reviewed Dinosaur, she was Baleen. She was in 101 Dalmatians, the live-action version, even the Spiderwick Chronicles. Tiny role in Last Action Hero as a teacher. She plays Mrs. Wilson. You have Lea Thompson as Dennis's mother. Robert Stanton as Dennis's father. I mostly remember him from Mercury Rising. With Bruce Willis. He was one of the workers at the NSA, got killed trying to help Bruce Willis. That's what I mostly remember him from. And he plays as Dennis's father. And Paul Winfield from other films like The Terminator. He's the sheriff in the film. And you have another another highlight for me. You can see right there, Christopher Lloyd as Switchblade Sam. He's the thief that's robbing the neighborhood houses. And which was also one of the negative points, because for the reviews, because Roger Ebert, he says he gives the film 2.5 out of 4. He says that there's a lot to like in Dennis the Menace. That he says that mentions that Switchblade Sam prevents him from watching it. Or prevents him from recommending it. In other words, the film could have. Otherwise, he's basically saying, the film would have been fine without Switchblade Sam. He was a character that was never meant to be in the film. Well, back then, I did not think that. I think I liked Christopher Lloyd in the film. I never thought that. Yeah, I get what he's saying. Yeah, I could see that Switchblade Sam was could have been a useless character that never would have meant to be in the movie. Couldn't. Never should have been in the movie, because he was a pointless character, basically, and there was no need for him, basically. That's why I could see why, though. But I like Christopher Lloyd, because he's a great actor, and I thought he had some funny things in the film, So so basically, so it opens up, well, as the credits are going, it shows that the atmosphere shows like the woods, and this old treehouse, and the city, and then the neighborhood, Mr. Wilson, played by Walter Matthau, he goes out to get his paper, and he hears bells, which he knows who's coming, by the tricycle bells. He knows who's coming. It's Dennis the Menace, and when Dennis is arriving, everything, birds fly away, cats run into each other, So he goes and runs into his house, and he starts taking all of his medicine out of his medicine cabinet out, puts it aside, thinking that he's sick, Which there was a scene that was in the trailer there was a scene that was in the trailer, which was not in the movie, I don't think there's no deleted scenes in this. No, there is no deleted scenes in this film. But there was a scene that was in the trailer that's not in the film or on special features, which is in that point, because he's running, he goes upstairs, and he says that talks to Mrs. Wilson, he's out of school, and I'm gonna let him pretend that I'm sick, and Mrs. Wilson's like, I'm not gonna fit for you, George, That's the scene that when he's arriving, that's in the trailer, but it's not in the movie, I don't know why they could have kept it in there, But and then of course when Dennis rides on his tricycle, and says, "Hey, Mr. Wilson." So he goes into his goes into his house, and he's lying in his bed, thinking, pretending that he's sick, He goes into, he stands next to Mr. Wilson, and, thinking, like, he feels warm, he's burning up, So, he tries to give him an aspirin, where there's, like, childproof cap, and just goes and pops it off, dumps all the aspirins on the floor, picks up one, Tries to put it in his mouth, but Mr. Wilson just brushes it off, and then tries to give him again, like does that with his teeth, almost bites his finger off, But then he goes and takes his slingshot, goes and just shoots it right down Mr. Wilson's throat. It's like, spits it out, So then, but he gets in trouble with it because his parents find out because Mr. Wilson calls him angrily, Makes him take away his slingshot, and Mr. Wilson has he has a brief talk with the father. He's like, he's out of school now, I don't want to come here more often. Like, I'm not the bad guy, Miss Mitchell. I'm the victim. And this is the thing that he takes care of. This is special plant, He's been taken care of, There's this special kind of plant that when the moonlight is full, it blooms up, And I can't stand that kid. He's a menace, So then his mother, Dennis's mother, played by Lea Thompson. She was supposed to drop her with another kid's place, but because she has to work, so he decides to drop her at this with another friend of his named Joey, and they're dropped off at this girl's house who's kind of a bully, named what was that kid's name? What was that? Margaret. Yeah. Yeah, that was good. That was that girl's name. He was kind of a bit of a bully, He's like, I'll pound your face, So they go and decide to take a stroll in the woods. They find this old tree house that's up in the trees, So they decide they're gonna fix it up, Sorry for going. And what I mentioned, with all this is going the night before that day, you see Christopher Lloyd. He's on a train. He goes and jumps off the train and gazes on the town. It's like, I like this, something. What was it? And he goes, "Says I bet they don't lock their doors." So when they're fixing the treehouse, they're up in the treehouse, and Switchblade Sam steals Margaret's doll, and they both admit they didn't take it, when he sees it taken in his bag, And they show us walking around the neighborhood looking at the houses, and he sees this kid with an apple. He just stares at him, And the kid's like, oh, the kid's like, he sees a creepy guy, and just not even doesn't run away in the house, and screams, oh, look at this creepy guy with this creepy smiling at him, What does the kid do? It's just like, apple, just takes the apple away from him with his switchblade, The kid, I was gonna say, the kid is just so dumb. He sees a very creepy, smiling, middle-aged guy, with long hair, and just doesn't get scared or anything, just looks at him, as if that's normal to look at, and doesn't get scared, doesn't get run away, Yeah. And then Chris really sees a window open with a box of jewelry and takes that, same thing, but he just slams the door down, but he takes it though. And back in Dennis goes into his garage to get some paint though for the treehouse, and he sees a slingshot. As he reaches for it, the can slips off his arm and falls on the floor, And he tries to take a bag and tries to clean all that up, And next door, Mr. Wilson is having a barbecue, and he's cooking some meat. But then Dennis, he sees a button on the bag and says, in, like it was like in or out, was like a inward, outward, He hits the outward button, all the paint shoots out, and goes, literally sees it, it's going to land in Mr. Wilson's yard. It's like, oh, and then the paint lands on the meat, And when he was about to eat, he takes a piece and he's like, tastes funny, tastes like paint and wood, And then a look in his face as he suspects that has to be Dennis, So he tries to sneak out one night, and Mrs. Wilson's like, what are you doing? Shh. I'm going to investigate Mitchell's garage. Dennis has been fooling around with paint. I know it. I'm gonna prove it. Oh, just leave him alone, George. He's only a boy, And while at time while the parents are out, they hire a babysitter, which is, I think it's the guy who well, there's a teenage girl that's babysitting. There's also a guy being brought over. Yeah, the babysitter's boyfriend. I think it's the same guy who played Buzz from. Yeah, that is. Yeah, the girl who brought invite the guy over to babysit. No, it's the same guy who played Buzz from Home Alone. Home Alone 1 and 2. Kevin's older brother, Buzz. That's the same guy who was also the babysitter's boyfriend, Yeah, I was like, oh wow, that's the guy who was Buzz from Home Alone, So, and then Dennis sneaks out of his bedroom, and sees the couple making out, and he goes outside, to ring the doorbell and hide, And then Mr. Wilson tries to go sneaks in the garage and gets his footstep in the pool. He's like, oh, GD. He doesn't say goddamn, though. He says GD, indicating goddamn, He's like, oh, GD waiting pool, And he goes in the garage and he's looking, he's looking through the nozzle of the vacuum. And he just throws it down and he hits the button and the nozzle's next to a golf ball and it sucks in, and the nozzle curls up like this, and he has the reverse button. And the golf ball shoots out and hits Mr. Wilson in the balls, And he's like, this is why I got a lot of laughs growing up, because I thought that type of humor was funny, And I still get laughs out of it, Seeing Mr. Walter Matthau's face, And then then the babysitter and the boyfriend, they sit up because this happened a couple times because when Dennis hits the doorbell and runs, so they try to set up a trap, and like the boyfriend puts like a thumbtack on the doorbell, and he's standing by, with the pot of flour, and the babysitter, sits on the top the next floor up with preparing to dump water on him, And then Dennis sees Mr. Wilson, he goes and runs, and Mr. Wilson's like this bending over, He's like this, I got him this time. Mitchell can't deny it. My brother loves that line that he says, though. He always finds that line funny, Just how he says, So he doesn't know what's happening, and so he goes and rings the doorbell, and his thumb stabs his thumb on the thumbtack, and it's like, and they dump the water and throws the flour in his face, and they just, because he sees an adult, says, sorry, good night. And then Mrs. Wilson opens the door and sees him, and she starts laughing like this, and he's like, he's only a boy, huh? And even she starts laughing as well, That's the type of comedy that I like, that I miss, and I've always thought that this has that type of humor that I thought was funny, unlike the humor today, though. But it was a type of comedy that I liked, especially I grew up liking it. I always laughed at this stuff in this film, Me and my brother always had a lot of laughs with this film, and we still do, And that shows a Switchblade Sam robbing another house. The next morning, Dennis wants to go over and just give him an apology card. So he goes up to his bedroom, and goes to the bathroom. He sees Mr. Wilson's false teeth, he tries to like plays with it, but then actually chips off the two front teeth, you know, down the drain. So he replaced that thing. I don't know what it was called, you know. And Mr. Wilson gets getting prepared to get his picture taken for the paper, you know. And I recognize the photographer, Arnold Stang. Um, the photographer who's taking the picture. I recognized him. He was in a couple of films that I recognized. Well, of course, he was in Arnold Schwarzenegger's first film, which was Hercules in New York. He was the guy Pretzi, you know. And he was also in a role in It's a Mad, Mad, Mad World as one of the two gas station attendants that Jonathan Winters just destroys, you know. Yeah, he's Arnold Stang is the short guy with the glasses, you know. Yeah. So he's taking the picture, you know, and when Walter Matthau smiles, you know, Mrs. Wilson and the photographer Arnold Stang, they were like, uh-oh, you know, and it's like Mr. Wilson's like, and then with the two, wherever it is, that's been placed as for his front teeth, you know. So then Dennis's parents, you know, they try to get they've been called away on different business trips, you know, and they have to go there, and they can't leave Dennis alone without a babysitter. So the both parents, they try calling different people to babysit Dennis, but they know aware of what Dennis is, you know, what his behavior is, you know, so they all don't want to do it. They all just all hang up on him. I mean, that song, "Don't Hang Up," you know, and they're all, of course, their only number they can call to help babysit them is, of course, is the Wilsons, you know. So, but they agree to babysit him while they go on their business trips, you know. There's a conversation with him and Mr. Wilson where I was talking about when it's raining, you know, and talking about he has a hidden safe behind a bookcase, you know. It's like, and Mr. Wilson's like, how come you ask so many questions? I've only been alive 5 years, and there's so many questions I have to look forward to, you know. And he's like, he's asking, what's the combination of good luck? And Mr. Wilson's like, ha! You're the last person in the world I would ever tell, you know. I bet I would know. I would think. I bet it's your what was it? I bet it was your address. I think it was. And Mr. Wilson's like, you know, they would just think that they think he knows that it is, you know. So, and then of course you can see him playing around the bathtub, you know. Mrs. Wilson tells him a story or what was that, a nice story, a poem that her mother told her, you know, and it shows both his parents on different, they're both laying in their beds, you know, looking at pictures of their families and stuff, you know, family photos, you know, and of course there's another little thing that Mrs. Wilson, you know, was reflecting, you know, wish that maybe that she wanted to have kids, you know, but Mr. Wilson doesn't, you know, so he's kind of being a bit of a douchebag on that, you know. But back with Mr. Wilson, this is another I always found another hilarious scene, you know. When Dennis was in the bathtub, you know, he's playing around the water and he's getting water on the floor, right? So there's still water on the floor, and Mr. Wilson's like slipping and does the friggin' splits, you know. And he's like this, you know, because it gets to show an upward shot of him with a splits, and he's like this, you know. And he looks like new pajamas. God bless him, you know. And there's another sequence where when Dennis was brushing his teeth, he like switches out because he used up all of his Mr. Wilson's nasal medicine, you know, he switches it with mouthwash, and then he replaces the mouthwash with chlorine or toilet washer or whatever. So he takes Mr. Wilson takes the mouthwash and sprays it all over the mirror, you know. And Mr. Wilson thought, is like, I wish he would get that hernia fixed, you know. And then he goes and takes his nasal spray, and then it's like, ooh, you know, and just dumps his face in the water, you know. So, and when they're both in bed, it's like, I think I would have, and Mrs. Wilson thinking, you know, she wishes that she would have had kids, and it's like, I think I would have made a good mother, you know. And then Mr. Wilson being a douchebag, you know, it's like, yeah, I think I would have made a swell fireman, you know. So then she goes and gets up to leave, you know. Apparently, that you know that she got her, you know, her feelings were hurt on that part, you know. And then Mr. Wilson, you know, how he feels bad about the party, you know. He's trying to apologize, thinking that's her sitting in a chair, but really it's Dennis's dog that's sitting there, you know. But he doesn't know it. He tries to apologize, you know, and then he tries to kiss her, but he's really kissing the dog, you know. When Mrs. Wilson is sitting there, you know, and it's like, George, you know, and he's says it's the dog, and he's like, get out of here, you know. And then during the next day, he's planning to do for the garden party. You know, he's looking for the garden lanterns up in the attic. You know, and Dennis is looking at one of those old Playboy magazines, and he's like, "Put that away. That's not for kids." You know, and he sees a box of mothballs, and he tries to close it, and the bottom opens up all over the floor. You know, and it's like, Martha, and then Mr. Wilson's like, Martha, where are the GD garden lanterns? And he trips all over the mothballs, like, no! You know, falls flat on his back, you know, and then there's a canoe was supposed to fall down, lands right between his legs, you know. But it doesn't fall on him, though, but it just lands right between there, you know, and the garden lanterns are up there, and he sees, like, this, they'll just roll right on top of him, and Dennis picks up one and sees his face, and he's like, I think I better go outside and play, you know, puts it back on there, you know. But then Lea Thompson, Dennis's mother, calls Mrs. Wilson. There's a storm at the airport where they're at, so they would not be able to leave there on time, you know, so hopefully they can stay there for a little bit longer, you know. And Mrs. Wilson, we'll be just fine here, you know, and Lea Thompson says, what's George gonna say? And goes this, cuts to him saying, over my dead body. This is the crying moment of my, what was it called, and for someone who can't get to the airport on time. George Wilson, you have no right to blame, Alice. She can't help it, neither the weather can, you know? This is plain bad luck. It's nobody's fault. The tragedy of this has to be somebody's fault, you know? And then it's like, and Ms. Wilson says, because you're Mr. Wilson says something, and he's like, and then she goes and says, because you're an old grump. Which he is, you know. So during the night of the party, you know, and he says he'll be on his best behavior, and he sees that there's a bunch of old ladies who like cheek pinchers, and the old lady's like, oh, hello, are you a host? And they start pinching his cheeks, you know, messing with his hair a bit, and Mr. Wilson's like, don't you embarrass me, you know. So during the night of the party, Dennis is sitting there, you know, he sees a button, but he doesn't know what button is, but he's getting curious on it because he sees, like, his fingers like this, knowing that he's getting curious about it, so he can't help himself, so he goes and pushes it, then where he realizes it's the garage door opening, you know, and there's this table of food and stuff on there, you know, and just dumps it all on the table, you know. And while that's happening, when everyone comes and sees it, it's all on the floor, and he's like, I made a mistake, and then Mr. Wilson gets mad and sends him upstairs in his room, you know. And then Christopher Lloyd, switchblades to him, he breaks into their house, he steps into his Mr. Wilson's study and looks at the bookcase, you know, trying to find a hidden safe, you know, which he does, he finds it. He opens it up and finds the gold coins that he was looking at earlier, you know. He drops one, and he goes and slams it down on one, thinking no one heard nothing, you know, which of course Dennis does. He sees that, you know, thing's been open, and he tries to go, you know, for once, and he sees something happens, and he tries to go and tell them, you know. And while that's going on, Mr. Wilson and everybody, you know, they're waiting for this plant to bloom up because the moon is full. It opens up to this beautiful looking flower, you know, and it's starting to bloom, you know. And then Dennis is like, hey, Mr. Wilson, somebody robbed your house, you know. And as soon as he turns his back, you know, it blooms up, and he turns back, it's gone already, you know. He already missed it, you know. And he goes, 40 years down the drain, you know, just throws it, you know. He gets mad. This is like the final straw, you know. He's like, you're a pest, Menace. spoiled, selfish little boy I've ever met. I don't want to see you. I don't want to know you. Get out of my way. He says he's sorry though, and he starts crying, you know, and he decides to run away on his tricycle, you know. So, by this time when, Alice gets there, the police has already came, you know. He's asked where's Dennis. He's running off into the woods. Then he gets stopped by Switchblade Sam, you know, and takes him in like a hostage, you know. Which at first he doesn't know what a hostage is, you know. It's like he says it's going to work out pretty nice. You could be my hostage. He's like cool because he doesn't know what a hostage is, you know. And then Mr. Wilson now he feels guilty about everything what he has said, you know. He hears he remembers all the things he said, you know, and now he starts feeling guilt about it. He's feeling upset about himself, you know, regret everything what he's done. You see him his face expression saying, remember everything what he feels guilty about saying, you know. So now he goes out, he takes his car out and starts searching for him, you know. And then with Dennis and Switchblade Sam, because Switchblade Sam doesn't know what kind of kid Dennis is, you know, so he starts asking questions, you know. It's like, shut your mouth, you know. It's like, I can't, my nose gets stuffed, you know. I shut my mouth and I can't breathe good, you know. Well, keep your mouth open, but don't talk, you know. He starts annoying him, you know. Even he's like, shut up, you know. And he's like, I have one more question. What? What does a hostage have to do? In case the cops show up, do I get to use a gun? No, you can just stand in front of me in case the cops use a gun. So he gets out his slingshot and says, do you want to see? Okay, I'll tell you when to look. So he goes and shoots his marble on a tree. It bounces back and hits him on the forehead, you know. He's like, ow, ow, ow. So he watches his head up, and then does his pick him with the fire and chips a piece of firewood, hits the ceiling, falls right into the back of his pants, you know. And his ass starts starts smoking up, and he's like, ah, you know, tries to put it up, and goes and jumps into the water, but he lands on this thing. It was like a piece of board, or was it like a sofa that was, or a couch that's in the water, you know? Is it a long piece of wood, or it's a couch that's in the water? It looked like, I'm pretty sure it's a couch or sofa, you know, that's in the water, you know. So he lands on that, you know. It's like, you know. So he tries to tie his legs up, you know, and just like it says you're doing it wrong. He's like, what do you do different? So he goes and ties it properly, and then he gets the handcuffs and handcuffs him to the rope. He's like this, you know, and he can't get up, you know. So he tries to get the handcuff key, trips over this thing or whatever it was, and sees the key sink into this pot of beans, you know. And this is one of my favorite parts of the film, and so does my brother, you know. My brother would just crack up all the time with this, you know. Because Dennis tries to force feed him beans, and he's like, I'm gonna kill you, little kid. How? You can't even move. Open up. I ain't hungry. The only way we're going to get the key, you can't waste food. Plus, you gotta eat your dinner, you know. And he starts backing up like this. You know, he's like, come on. And he's like, oh, you know, forces feed him, you know, the whole thing, you know. And there's no key, so he must have swallowed it, you know. And of course, yes, of course. So, you know, the thing is, I don't know if it's, I think it's a true thing. If you eat so many beans, you fart, you know. Yeah, of course. There's a scene where he's like this. He's tied up like this. Well, I can't do it because I'm on the ground, because he's on the ground though. But he's facing the firewood. Of course, when he farts, you know, and just makes the flames go, you know. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I know. I said I don't like fart jokes. Yeah, that's a nitpick. You know, to see, you know, Christopher Lloyd, you know, farting. You know, yeah. That's the thing I always. Maybe back then I thought that was funny though, but now I don't like since I don't like fart jokes. You know, I hate fart jokes. Yeah, that's a nitpick though, but still, that's not gonna kill the movie for me. You know. And there's a couple of shots where, you know, Walter Matthau, you know, is calling out Dennis' name, looking for him, you know. And then Christopher Lee manages to cut the ropes, you know, and then Dennis drops this big hunk of wood, hits him in the head, knocks him out. And then Sam manages to get knocked out again when Dennis flips with this blanket and that Julia Brock said he took earlier, hits him right in the head again, knocks him out again. And Dennis is dragging the blanket, but it catches on fire though, but he doesn't know that. So he covers it to cover him up, and then he looks and goes through his bag and sees all the money from his purse that he took earlier. Because earlier he was going to this playground, he sees a purse, on this stroller, he covers it with his coat. That's when he gets stopped by Paul Winfield, It's like, when there's a short conversation, it's like, well, the reason why I'm stopping, because you stopped, well, the reason why I'm not moving on, because you stopped to give me the breeze, So, he starts catching on fire, and then Christopher Lloyd's face is like, So, but he goes and jumps back in the water and lands on that sofa again. And he sees him trying to, try to get out of the wire, but he can't because he's still handcuffed, So then, Dennis throws this rope, to this makeshift thing to make him pull himself in, And then Des notices the gold coins that belong to Mr. Wilson. He's like, "How come you got it?" "I stole it." "You're a robber?" "I'm a thief." "Say your prayers, you little rat," And he's about to stab him with his knife. Then as a train coming, he's supposed to catch, the caboose has this night light at the end, and it catches the rope and starts pulling him up to this the ceiling, And he starts pulling because he's stuck to this drain pump that's in the ceiling. He's holding the whole train back, And when the train snaps the rope, and he falls flat on his face on back onto that sofa that's in the water, And the knife that was up there falls and hits him against in the groin because that's where it was aiming for. It's like, oh, So in the morning, Mr. Wilson was sleeping all night on the front porch, Gets his paper, and when he thought he heard bells, but then as he hears it again, he sees tell everyone, "Martha, Mitchell," And he's very happy to see him, "Hey, Mr. Wilson," he's carrying Sam, he has a wagon on the back of his tricycle. He's carrying him. He's tied up again, has all these big bumps, and sort of like his head is either swollen or some blood on him, And Dennis runs and give him Mr. Wilson a hug, His parents are happy to see them. Paul Winfield and other cops come in, And Paul Winfield sees Christopher Lloyd. He's like, "Help," And then he's like, I bet you're going to tell everybody at the big house that you met our Dennis Mitchell." He's all beat up. He looks like crap. And then all the kids in the neighborhood are all happy to see him. And goes to Sam's like, "Mister, you forgot something. It was good to give back his switchblade." He's just about to, he's like this in front of his face, and then Paul Winfield closes the door and just crushes his hands and drops his knife into the sewer. It's like, oh, So then later on the night, one night, as Dennis is roasting a marshmallow, over the barbecue, and Dennis's parents are talking to the Wilsons, saying that have him over here more often, because he's because kids, now he's perfectly fine to have him over here now, and it's like kids are kids, you have to follow the rules, And while they're talking, Dennis is flinging this marshmallow because it's on fire. He tries to put it by flinging it like this, and the marshmallow slips off and it's on fire. It skids past Mrs. Wilson and lands Mr. Wilson on the floor. He's like this, And then during the credits, it shows that Dennis is at is at this place where her mom works, and then there was this woman that was kind of talking about well, it says right here this woman named Andrea was a coworker that works with Dennis's mom, and earlier she was kind of talking it was being all snobby, to her, So she's talking, Dennis is talking to her, and then you see Lea Thompson sees it and kind of smiles because she knows of what Dennis is gonna do, Well, knows something's gonna happen, so that's why she's not gonna say anything, because she kind of wants Dennis to do this to her, you know. It's like kind of like payback or whatever, you know. And she sees them. She's one that puts them on the printer, right? And he sees the button, you know. They're like, "Can I push the button?" No, because you don't know which button to push, you know. And he's like, "Oh, it's this one," you know. When she slips, and then gets her, of course, her face is on the printer, so it's taking printed pictures of her. You see the funny pictures of her coming out of the printer, you know. He goes and runs away, you know. So yeah. Dennis the Menace, I still enjoy the film. Me and my brother, as I said, this is one of the films me and my brother will watch also all the time. We'll also still get a lot of laughs on this, you know. Um, I still do, you know. I still get a lot of laughs on this, you know. So it's, me and my brother, we haven't watched it in a while though. But I remember we watch this all the time, and we still get a lot of laughs in this, you know. Especially the scenes with him and Christopher Lloyd, you know. Yeah. But Dennis the Menace, this is a special edition though, and for features has TV special Dennis the Menace, the making of, you know, memories of a menace. A 10 year later visit with 10 years later visit with Mason Gammon with who was more grown up, you know, talking about, you know, how it was. Conversations with Walter Matthau and Sean Hughes. And of course, his trailers, because this also spawned a direct-to-video sequels as well, you know, like Dennis the Menace Strikes Again, Dennis the Menace, Dinosaur Hunter, you know. No. Yeah, Dead. No, did you know it's called? It's a straight-to-video sequel. There was only one sequel. It was part of the thing. Is the Dinosaur was from a TV on television, you know. But the direct-to-video sequel, Dennis the Menace Strikes Again, you know. Which I've never seen, and I never cared for it back then. And I don't care for it at all. I saw what a trailer was, and it didn't look as good. You know, the guy who played Mr. Wilson, you know, doesn't look as good as Walter Matthau did. You know, so yeah, I don't care. I never seen it. I'll never will, because this is the only good Dennis the Menace film. You know, the cast do a good job. You know, Mason Gamble. I would say he was good. I would say he's good, you know, as Dennis the Menace. You know, I don't think he never. Well, actually, you know, he was in that werewolf film called Bad Moon, and I liked that film, Bad Moon. You know, I remember seeing. Yeah, that's another film I remember seeing him. He was also in that werewolf film, Bad Moon. Yeah, and I do like that film, you know. Walter Matthau, may he rest in peace. You know, very funny as Mr. Wilson. You know. I always liked him. I always liked him as Mr. Wilson. You know, may he rest in peace. Lea Thompson was good. Paul Winfield, he was only in for a little bit though as the sheriff though, but he was still good as well. Joan Plowright as Mrs. Wilson, she was good. You know, Christopher Lloyd, yeah, probably as what people think he was not need to be in the film though, but growing up watching Christopher Lloyd, I had laughs with him. You know, so did my brother. We was like we both liked Christopher Lloyd in the film, you know. And also this is another film. The music done by Jerry Goldsmith, you know. Jerry Goldsmith also did the score in this film, you know. Like I said before, my previous review of Air Force One, which is another film that Jerry Goldsmith did the score for. This is not on purpose. I'm not doing films that have music by Jerry Goldsmith, you know. It's just the odds are when I pick films to review, that has a film by Jerry Goldsmith, you know. So it's not on purpose, you know. I swear it's not on purpose. It's just coincidentally I pick films that's like this film and that Air Force One back to back. These are films that has Jerry Goldsmith, you know. Trust me, it's not on purpose. You know, it's just like, oh wow, this is another film that has the scores by Jerry Goldsmith, you know. Jerry Goldsmith is such a memorable music composer. That's why I would say, yeah, he's my favorite music composer, because he did a lot of scores on a lot of great films, you know. As much as, you know, as Hans Zimmer and the late James Horner, you know, I always enjoy Jerry Goldsmith. You know, he's done a lot of scores especially to a lot of classic films as well. Like I said before, Alien, Leviathan. Like I said, my previous review, Air Force One, So many other great films, you know. I can't name them all off the top of my head though, but the ones I mostly remember him from, you know. And of course, like I said before, Deep Rising as well, you know. It's also written by John Hughes, produced by John Hughes, you know. I miss John Hughes. I miss John Hughes, you know. He's another talented writer and director who's now no longer with us, you know. The directing by Nick Castle, you know. Like I said before, I said directed by Michael Myers, you know. Yeah, I still gotta work on puns. You know, I'm not that good at puns, you know, so I could say that. Well, that's a failed pun right there, though. But still, you can get the joke as best you can. You know, I always try to do jokes the best I can, but I'm not that good at I'm not that good at saying jokes. You know, I'm terrible at it. You know. The stuff like I said, the stuff that I liked, you know, that made me laugh. You know, um, with Mr. Wilson, he falls, trips over the mothballs, or Christopher Lloyd, when he's being force-fed, you know, the beans, you know. Um, are some of the lines that Walter Matthau said, you know. I really do enjoy Death of the Menace, you know. Me and my brother, we haven't both watched it in a while though, but me and my brother need to watch this again because we both always had a lot of laughs with this film, you know, growing up, you know, both of us did, you know. But yeah. The back here by Susan Granger, CRN and American Movie Classics. It captures the Home Alone magic. I don't think so though, because Home Alone's I still have laughs with Home Alone though, but it captures the Home Alone magic. I would say no, but I get what it's saying though. I do. Dill, ABC Radio Network, Dennis the Menace is an irresistible treat. I would agree on that. I had fun. I had fun with Dennis the Menace, you know. For a film that came out in 1993, you know, it was a box office hit though, even though it was met negative reviews. Still, it was a box office hit during the summer, you know. Mason Gamble receiving a Golden Razzie for Worst New Star. I can see why, but I wouldn't think so, you know. Because like a little boy who was cute, you know, and it was like probably, you know, people will say when he probably say he's annoying, you know, but I wouldn't say not annoying though. But he was a kid who was first was obnoxious to his neighbor though, but then you know, both the kid and Mr. Wilson, you know, were playing happy at the end, you know, hugging each other, you know. But yeah. But anyway, that's my review for Dennis the Menace. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. You know, it's has that the look of the film captures that 90s look, you know, of a family comedy film, you know. And like I said, I miss Walter Matthau. It's too bad he's now no longer with us, you know. A lot of people like him, and him was co-star Jack Lemmon and Grumpy Old Man, you know, in the sequel, you know. I also remember he also had a cameo appearance in Earthquake. You know, he was the drunken guy at the bar. You know, when the earthquake was going, he still has this little shot glass of him. You know, then he passes out, and falls to the ground. You know, I do remember Walter Matthau having a cameo in Earthquake. You know, yeah, but yeah, he was good. Lea Thompson was good. Joan Plowright was good. Christopher Lloyd I liked a lot. You know, Paul Winfield, like I said, even for a short time, he was in the film though, but he was still good though. The score by Jerry Goldsmith, I like, you know. I always like I'll always enjoy the film, you know, have a good fun, you know. So yeah, that's my review for Dennis the Menace. Thanks for watching. Take care and stay tuned on the next movie review. Later.